Good evening and welcome to Anime-Zing Radio here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. I'm your host, Doug Engler. Joining me, the co-host seat, as always, is our good friend Angela Rose.
Hi, everyone.
Darren, I don't know if he's going to be joining us tonight or not. I sent him the link, but
He's dead.
he died this week. Had a very busy week. He's also got a very busy morning, which I told him that if he needed to duck out early or get some sleep because he's got to be up really early for his day job tomorrow, that was fine. So tonight I thought it would be fun. Angela and I both have watched some episode ones and in some cases an episode two.
And we even watched one of the same episode ones, which almost doesn't happen.
And I don't think that we knew that the other one was even had it on their radar.
I doubt it. I think that just was wires crossed. Pun kind of intended.
A couple of things that I watched were partially because of hanging out with Darren, and the shows were better than I expected them to be. And one of them, depending on how the storyline goes, might be up your alley, might not.
Now, I actually think one of the ones I added to my list, I think might be courtesy of Ross. Might be courtesy of Darren, might be courtesy of Ross. I do not remember, but
speaking of the devil, hello Ross.
But I'm finding, and hello John.
Hello John. Welcome.
I'm finding. So I've been finding lately some really good, well-written romances, and yeah, some of them do get some tropes, but
you love tropes.
No, I hate them, but some of the more adult romances are really good, and the one I watched episode 1 of, I'm really hoping stays good and doesn't get stupid. Because I can see the potential for it to go either way.
And I know, as we mentioned up the top, that Angela and I both had one show that we watched, where actually all three of us watched. And unfortunately, like I said, I don't think Darren's going to be joining us tonight. If he does, he might wake up and see my messages, but decided to let him rest because I know the kind of day he's got tomorrow. Hopefully it's not as bad as last Monday, but we'll see what happens.
But maybe that'll be a show all three of us actually finish.
I do plan on continuing it because it has been good. Episode 1 was interesting enough to keep me intrigued to see where the story goes.
And the one we are alluding to that all three of us watched is the healer who was banished from his party is in fact the strongest. And I actually enjoyed episode 1, actually kind of gave me some Goblin Slayer vibes. And pretty much my spread this season is all over the place as far as genres go.
Yeah, I'm kind of bouncing around amongst different things as well. John Knight in the chat says, I finally finished Konosuba dub with the movie and a prequel, and it was very fun and good. The animation was very clean and the characters were very funny.
Oh, good.
I do like the dub of Konosuba. I know, Angela, you said that it wasn't for you.
I've seen clips. Konosuba was one of those not for me.
It's got that stupid humor that some people love and some people just can't, like British humor. You gotta love it or you hate it.
And it either hits and hits hard or swing and a miss. And I love and British humor for me is very much one extreme or the other.
And that's where Konosuba falls in my opinion, too.
I
love it.
I will 100% agree with that assessment. I will say what I saw, the art was decent.
The art's decent. I like the characters. Um,
But it was not for me. But is what it is.
my opinion on the healer who was banished from his party is in fact the strongest. Episode one, and I kind of went into this with a prejudice of I've seen so many banished from the heroes party style animes recently because there's been a decent amount of them,
Yup.
and I was almost didn't watch it. But Darren and I talked about shows to watch last night, some episode ones, and that was one that came up, which we said, you know what, let's check it out. And it kind of was better than I was expecting it to be, at least from episode one. There's some intrigue, there's some mystery. Um, I have an idea about one of the characters, but I don't know just how true or not my idea is. Just based off of the opening and ending sequences with the music, and you get
Yeah.
glimpses of what's in the show. It's
Yep.
and I kind of have a hunch about the main female, but I'm probably gonna have to wait a couple of episodes before you get more of that story revealed as to whether I'm right or not.
For me, it was more of a husband and I went through and we each picked out a couple, and that one, he's like, it's going to be a good fantasy. I'm like, but it looks like it's going to be a one of those same as all the other ones. And then we watched the episode ones today, and it really was it was better than I was expecting. Very much gave off Goblin Slayer vibes, at least to me.
And we're curious to see if that's a show that all of us continue and actually finish.
Because out of every episode one we watched today, nothing even made it to nothing even made it to the chopping block.
Nothing has made it to the chopping block of the shows that I've seen thus far. To my knowledge, this is the only show that we have agreed on without knowing who we
Uh,
agreed on it.
I am inclined to agree. I think you are correct. Um, two of the ones on my list don't air for another week. Um, but
One of the ones on my list airs tomorrow. It starts tomorrow, so I have to wait another day
yeah,
for that one.
I had all of the first batch of mine were all up. The two remaining on my list are 13 and 19, or 13 and 18. So, but but I suppose, John, to answer your question, or which fall anime has anybody watched? Uh well, as we were just discussing, both of us have watched The Healer Who Was Banished from His Party Is in Fact the Strongest. The rest of my list rounds out with Gun Gale Season 2, which is looking like it's going to be on point for Gun Gale. And I will say this, Doug. I feel like this particular arc of Gun Gale is kind of like it is in fact similar in vein to Bo Fury, in so much as it's a big in-game event, everybody's on teams, and the episode one was introducing all the teams, who's competing against who and whatnot.
Interesting. I still like Bo Fury better.
Not arguing that, more just kind of giving you the the hey, here's a similarity,
Yeah.
and this one might be this one is looking like it's going to be fun. Um, uh, Mecha Ude, which you're shonen, you're Mecha. The episode 1 was a lot of fun.
Shonen
Very
Mecha right up Angela's alley.
pretty much, but one of those. It's fun. It's a mech. The first episode was everybody fighting everybody. It was a lot of fighting, but again, shonen. It's good. And then, okay, so I was right. This one probably did come from Ross. The last one on my list is 365 Days to the Wedding. And episode 1 actually set up a good story. And I'm curious to see how they're going to how they're going to show the romance, because I can see the potential for it to go so poorly, but I also could see the potential for it to be really, really, really well done.
Now, that one, 365 Days to the Wedding, is one that Darren and I tossed around whether or not we wanted to watch episode 1 of that or not. We didn't watch it last night, partially because after watching 2 or 3, I think we watched 3 episodes of different shows, and then we were both exhausted from a long day of work. So
Ross,
that is what I might start.
um, Ross, given that you say you watched it, what did you think? Because as the resident romance guy, I want an opinion. But some comments from the chat. Uh, Nina, the Starry Bride, and Spirit Chronicles season 2 will both be same day simuldub tomorrow. John Knight in the chat points out that Amazon Prime Day is coming in 2 days. And then Ross says so far he's watched Amagai Sister, Goodbye Dragon Life, and 365 Days to the Wedding. And his response to my question to him is that he wishes they give the main girl a little higher personality. And Ross, I think that's gonna be a wait and see. And John Knight says only one more episode left for My Hero season 7. I am completely caught up on that, and here's to hoping it ends on a high note.
As far as the shows that I've been watching, we talked about Healer. Started You Are Miss Servant, which is a story of a maid who shows up at this guy's house, who is basically her only skills are as an assassin. She's got no maid abilities whatsoever. There's a mystery as to why she showed up at this boy's house dressed as a maid, why she was sent there from her previous master, and exactly what's going to happen. Without giving away too much of episode 1, she shows up, knocks on the door. He lets her in. She tells him who she is. He rejects her, thinking that she's a psychopath. Sends her on her way. Finds something of hers that she forgets. Runs after her to try to give it back. In the process, almost getting killed. She saves his life, and there's the start of the series. As far as what's going to happen, why she's there and stuff, I don't know. There's a lot of questions that popped up from episode 1, which is kind of a cool thing. That is one I think you might like. Depending on how the story goes, that's one that I think you would like, Angela.
Hmm.
I'm not sure if you will, but like I said, I think that it's could be up your alley, especially she, she kind of reminds me a bit of Yor
Wait,
from
what did you
Spy
say the
Family.
name was?
Miss Servant. You are Miss Servant is the English title. John Knight in the chat says a season finale for the English dub of VTuber Legend airs today on Crunchyroll. And Ross says he's still on the fence to watch Yakuza Fiance tomorrow. One show that I kind of binged this week while at Darren's was Machining, Too Many Losing Heroines, which was an interesting show. The storyline was pretty good. Darren said he was curious about it. I suggested watching, starting it while I was there, but we never actually got to it, so I watched it on my phone. And that was a lot better than I thought it was gonna be. What else was I watching? I know there was another one that we had started. Demon Lord Retry Season 2, or Demon Lord Retry R. Watched the first 2 episodes of that. That was episode 1 was kind of a recap of season 1, and then episode 2 kind of picked back up on the story. If you don't remember where season 1 left off, I would recommend watching season 1, but be careful because you will get thrown off by the art style. It is a different studio that's doing season 2 than did season 1. So the art threw me off. I could tell right off the bat that it was a different studio. Not sure if I like the new art style or not, because the different art style of the characters the change in appearance kind of changes the vibe that they give off from season 1. But if that's my only gripe thus far, then that's just being picky, I think. But then again, what anime fan isn't picky?
True. I mean, there's so much out there that we can afford to be picky.
Oh yeah, that's definitely true. There's a lot of shows out there. I'm looking through because I know that there was another one that I had been watching that like season 2 had just started. I don't remember the name of it now. I finished watching No Longer Allowed in Another World. That story was pretty good. I know some of our chat was watching that one.
And speaking of the chat, comments from the chat, John Knight says Oshinoko for season 3 has officially been announced. I don't know if any of us were watching that, but I did see that announcement.
I had not been watching it, and Darren said that he has not been watching Oshinoko. My wife started it. She said she thought I would like it.
I've heard good things, but never got around to it.
I think episode 1 of it was like an hour or 2 hours long.
90 minutes.
Yeah. Ross in the chat says Family Mission Yozokura is getting a season 2. And it does have a wedding episode in the final episode. And the other show that I had been watching as a reincarnated aristocrat, I'll use my appraisal skill to rise up in the world or something like that. And that has actually been pretty good. Season 2 is starting this season, so that was a lot better than I was expecting. I'm starting to, as much of isekai trash as I am, I've been starting to get bored of a lot of the cookie cutter isekais that are coming out, and it's getting harder and harder for me to be like, oh, isekai, let me watch this. So something about it really has to like jump out and get my attention for me to really enjoy it. And I realized last season I think I dropped 2 or 3 isekais that I had started being like, I'm bored.
And I think that's the difference is you'll start them and give up, whereas I'll just be like, nope. You have to really stand out in order for me to actually even bother.
But that's about what I have watched thus far. Like I said, Love Live Superstar season 3 starts tomorrow. That's one I'm looking forward to watching. Curious as to if/when they're going to get dubs on Demon Lord Retry R and on Love Live.
Nope. I hate this app. Surprising no one, Demon Lord 2099 is on my list. That's supposed to start next week. And then the other one on my list, no, not that. The other one on my list is Blue Miboro, which starts on the 19th. So even more all over the place.
And Ross says that Goodbye Dragon Life is up my alley for reincarnation.
And John Knight says the Ranma Half remake dub does not have the Canadian cast reprise their roles, only the new English cast.
Here's an anime for you, Ange. An herbivorous dragon of 5,000 years gets unfairly villainized.
Eh?
What is this? Desperate to defend her village from the Demon King, Riko offers herself to a 5,000-year-old dragon for his help in exchange. But the flame-breathing beast is a vegetarian and a total weakling. Together they embark on a journey to take down the Demon King. With her dragon comrade, Riko claims that she's his disciple, able to draw from his infinite powers. But is it really from him?
That sounds just no.
Oh, I don't even think that's a new one. I think that's what came out last season because there's 12 episodes already out.
That just sounds so.
Oh, season 2 has started.
Mid. Yeah, that just sounds so mid. Like.
That's why I kind of said that in jest that was up your alley.
Fair.
That really doesn't sound like anything you would watch. Like I said, You Are Miss Servant, I think would be up your alley, depending on where the storyline goes. From episode 1, it's like, I could see Angela watching this one. But if it goes to crap, I could see you being like, yeah, nah. I started it, didn't like the story. Similar to um the
There's been a couple, but the notable one would have been Call of the Night
that's the one I was thinking of, Call of the Night.
because I tried I tried with Call of the Night, and 2 episodes in, it was for me, there was no redeeming qualities about either of the main characters. The story wasn't grabbing me in the slightest, and everything else you guys said, I agreed with. It just
Yeah.
but with when the characters have 0 redeeming qualities and the writing just does not do it for me, those are the deal breakers for me. For some people, it's art. For some people, it's everybody's got that thing that makes or breaks a show for them.
Yeah. And that's the thing about I think that's the thing about anime nowadays is there is so much stuff out there that we're getting complacent of being or maybe not complacent, but we're getting picky about okay, I don't like this, so I'll just drop it. When years ago, when we all started getting into anime and it was hard to find anything, you would watch almost anything you could get your hands on.
Unless it was a specific genre you didn't like.
Yeah.
Like I tended to like
Isekai wasn't really a thing back there, at least not like it is now.
correct. Like
But you jump towards mecha and
okay,
some of the
a lot of
shonen.
I watched a lot of shonen. I watched a lot of like what in American terms would get labeled as drama. Like I
Uh,
tended to avoid a lot of comedies. I tended to avoid a lot of the shojo. I
I watched a lot of
I avoided the harem stuff.
I watched a lot of harem etchy type of shows when I first got in to the anime world after Inuyasha and Fully Cooley and
See,
Golden
that's
Boy and stuff like that.
see the harem stuff just doesn't interest me.
And there's so much of it.
And you know what? And I'm not even gonna say the majority of it is bad. I'm sure there's some really good ones. I'm sure there's some really bad ones. I'm sure the majority of them are okay.
One of the really bad ones we all know.
Not going there.
I didn't say a title. I just said we all know.
Yeah, no. But it really does come down to personal taste. Like you don't like a lot of shonen.
Yeah. And you don't like a lot of isekai. So
Exactly. That's not a
we all agree that isekai is trash and shonens are overrated.
Yep. But sometimes you want that turn your brain off. You just want that silly fun. Like like your quintessential summer, what I lovingly refer to as bad action movie. You know exactly what you're getting and it's so much fun, but it's probably crap.
I thought you were going to say quintessential quintuplet.
Nope. I'm
Just
uh
because of the anime that's in the name.
yes,
Which I will say that was a lot better than I thought it was originally the first time watching it.
okay, so I was right and you did watch that. They had the
My wife and I
on
went back and rewatched seasons 1 and 2, not realizing that there was also a movie. So I haven't seen the
uh
movie, but seen
but
seasons 1 and 2.
I saw on some of the anime pages that showed up in my Facebook feed that the Japanese voice actors for quintessential quintuplets were all over like magazine covers. I think probably because of the movie
Probably.
or something upcoming. I don't know. I just remember thinking to myself, "Oh, I think Doug watched that."
Darren
Uh,
watched it too, because Darren got on my case that I didn't finish it.
it was one I didn't watch, but I knew of because it got discussed on air. And to bring this full circle and go back to the chat, Ross ended up dropping Rurouni Kenshin season 2, the remake, because uh,
That people
because
said there was romance in it, but he decided not to watch because he didn't see any romance, just history and action, so he wasn't really interested. Which is understandable when you
yeah,
go into a show expecting something and you don't get it. That's I did that with SAO. Thought it was one thing when it turned into something else. I lost interest and haven't looked back.
I also enjoy history, and subsequently, a lot. I find some good. Anytime I find some good historic, even loosely historical animes, I enjoy those. Um, and then in other news, uh, the sequel to The Joker is not doing well in the movie theaters, which on the one hand that's a shame the because that was a really really good movie. On the other hand, it was such a perfect standalone origin story that they didn't need to make a sequel. I'm not surprised they did, but
You're
I'm
not
also not.
surprised it's bad.
No, I'm not. Um,
We see that with a lot of stuff, movies, TV shows.
like like part 1 actually was nominated for best picture. It didn't win, but it was nominated for big award. And then getting off of that, John Knight says the English dub for Natsume's Book of Friends season 6 will be streaming on Crunchyroll with all 11 episodes. I'm not familiar with that show at all.
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it, but I have heard of it. None Your Business says SAO is one of those shows where the abridged is worlds better, and they weren't trying to be. They were only trying to be funny.
Minus one. Okay, I know. I feel like I'm in the minority here, but minus one story arc, I actually really enjoyed SAO. Um,
I will say characters from SAO are cute. I've seen figures and things like that of some of the characters beyond the Asuna Kirito, season 1 stuff. And some of them are like the character designs are adorable, but I don't know if that's enough to get me to go back and watch beyond the Kirito days.
if Darren were here, he'd tell you to watch Alice.
Yeah.
The Alice, and I would give, I will to a point agree with him that the Alice arc was amazing. Don't know
Now
that I.
is that something if I decided because I was bored or whatnot to go back and just start at Aliciazation, could I pick that up without knowing the story beforehand? Or is that one where you have to get through the start to know where you're picking up from that?
You probably, I mean, there'd be little details and some nuance that you're probably missing, but if you know the premise, you're probably fine. Though honestly, I would also recommend Gun Gale.
Getting back to the Joker, Ross says it's bad because people walked out of it. Talking about Joker movie 2 and
Part 2.
Warner Joker Part 2. Warner Brothers did not screen test the audiences. And today is the 24th anniversary of the Digimon movie.
I feel old. But
I like how I feel old.
I whenever the anniversary stuff comes up, it's like that those just make me feel old. And I suppose But then again, it's all about the eras.
Yeah,
Like when the Pokemon movie hit the States, I was beginning my fast food era.
I will say, switching gears to another anime that I've been watching that is continuing through the fall season, 2.5 Dimensional Seduction, has been an interesting show. I know Darren and I both have said that we think that you might enjoy it from the cosplaying aspect. Um, it has some comparison to My Dress Up Darling, but it's got a whole different view of of a romance aspect. But I also think that there are some tropes, like you said, you can tolerate some tropes. And this does have some tropes, the childhood friend trope, things of that nature. But the childhood friend doesn't really play that big of a part past the first couple of episodes. You see her come and go throughout what's dropped thus far, but the story mainly focuses on the main male and main female character. The main female character is a cosplayer who has a love for a specific character, makes her own cosplays, wants to go to events, but she's extremely socially awkward and very nervous around people. And
Meh.
you might like it, you might not. Good
Hello,
evening, Sharka.
Sharka. Um, one of the other things is I started actually. God, Ross, really? The DC TV shows never actually got into any of them.
Yeah, neither did I. I stuff never really interested me. The whole comic series and things of that nature.
Again, some of them grabbed me, some of them didn't, and the ones that did grab me largely didn't. Half of them I didn't know they were comic book shows until someone pointed it out to me after multiple episodes.
Yeah.
Uh, and John Knight says yesterday was Monica Rial's birthday.
Yes. Happy birthday to Monica. Also, who had also, I believe it was Brianna Roberts had a birthday earlier this week. Yes. Looking back through because I had commented on there. Um,
Excuse me.
so uh, happy birthday to Brianna. She has been a guest on the show in the past, and hopefully we can get her back on again at some point. Monica is back to John Knight's comment about Monica. Monica is a very talented voice actress, has appeared in a plethora of shows.
Yep.
And we've had the honor of having her on this show a couple of times. Met her at many conventions. Such a sweetheart. I know we have a lot of friends who come and join our show from time to time or tune in that are moderators of our Facebook page. If you are a fan of Monica's, go check out the Realists on Facebook. Good group, a lot of fun people there. Give them a shameless plug, just because we have a lot of people who join us from there, including Pop Girl, Mario, just
Yep.
to name a couple.
Not one of the ones John listed, but one of the arguably an underrated show that she did was Genlock. And Ross, I wanted to mention this to Doug, who has seen the Monster Musume, the Lamia in the fall season anime by Dragon Life is better than Mia.
Okay. Is she better than Monster? Is she better than the Lamia and Monster Girl Doctor, Ross?
Okay, good. I'm glad that made sense to you.
Yeah, I watched Monster Musume, and then Monster Girl Doctor was a different. It was like the title was Monster Musume on that one as well in Japanese, but the English title was Monster Girl Doctor. So both of them kind of similar, but both of them have Lamias. You know what a Lamia is, I'm sure.
And he says yes.
So in other words, you're trying to get me to watch Goodbye Dragon Life. That's what Ross is trying to do.
Are we surprised?
No, because Ross knows what we like, and Ross is always there with suggestions. You should check out da 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 da. And then sometimes we do. And then we yell at Ross because he was right. Or wrong.
Yep. Do we have for any horror fans or just fans of or just fans of Junji Ito? There's an anime out now, Uzumaki. For any horror fans, we got.
What's the name of the show?
You would ask that literally as soon as I close the damn thing. Uzumaki, I believe.
John Knight says, I haven't seen Uzumaki anime yet, but it's on his radar. And Ross says, the Lamia in Goodbye Dragon Life is calmer and smarter than both Monster Girl Doctor and Mia. Well, it doesn't take much to be smarter than Mia. I'll say that much. But looking through other stuff, I know that title says AZR starts October, ... As October is here, we're going to be losing Angela for a couple of weeks coming up here.
Yep, I will. I will be posting from Japan on the AZR social, Facebook and Instagram pages. So, blatant shout out, follow us on there. I'll be posting pictures as I go around Japan, but I will not be on air between the time zones and just all of the other things.
So will you be here next week, or does that start when you're gone?
We leave Friday the 18th.
Okay, so you will be here. Angela will be
here
joining
next
us
week,
next week.
and then I will not be here for 2 weeks, and then I will be back and exhausted on the 3rd.
Okay.
If I pull a Darren and fall asleep, oh well, and don't wake up in time, oops.
It happens.
But
Ross says, isn't Uzumaki about a black hole spiral in people's bodies? I saw clips people posted on Twitter.
well,
Is that the one that you were talking about?
It is uh a town that lately has odd occurrences. Each one somehow is connected to a spiral. Soon the spiral occurrences spread to infect even the bodies of the people, which suddenly turns everyday events into chaos and horror. This is based on a manga series by Junji Ito and is streaming on HBO Max. So the answer is probably. And I found the Anime News Network Fall Preview Guide for sheer entertainment value. Let's find. For sheer entertainment value, the first episode of. I scrolled down to find the healer who was banished from his party, to find Anime News Network's rankings for sheer entertainment value, if my phone wants to cooperate here. And thus far,
Ross was commenting more about Uzumaki, saying people are hating on it today because they said that the animators used up all their budget on animations for episode 1 because episode 2 looks like crap.
So far after episode 1, Anime News Network, the average rating is 2.5 stars for healer that was banished from the party. I'm not sure I agree with that.
I said it's 2.5 stars out of 5.
Yeah, that's averaging all of them. It's a lot of some 2s, some 3s, and a 2.5.
I don't know. I think episode 1. I would have probably given it a 3.5, maybe a 4. 4 might be high based off of just the first episode, but
First
it
episode,
definitely has the potential of being a really good show.
Agreed.
I think that's one I definitely need to give a 3. Like I said, 3-episode trial.
I'm not giving up on anything yet.
Like I said, everything I have started is getting a 3-episode.
Yep. And I'm convinced you are far less picky than I am about new stuff.
Yeah, I just look for stuff that I can sit back and enjoy, and every now and then something will really hook me.
I have specific. Well, I think I'm just picky. But I'm picky with a lot of media, so there's that. Like for example, if I'm going to spend almost $20 going to go to the movies, it better be a damn good movie. Because movie ticket prices here in the city are ridiculous.
As happens.
What are they?
I don't know what's on TV behind you. I see you looking back on what are they watching?
It's Connor.
Is it? I don't recognize it from this, so I don't know if it's a new one that's come out or what.
I don't know. That looks like Connor.
That was definitely a Connor. That's definitely Sea Dog.
I don't know. You know what? I don't know that I want to know.
So, were you surprised to see that I was at Darren's last week?
Yes, yes, I was.
That was a well kept secret.
Uh, oh no, I did hear about this. Ross in the chat, I did learn a terrible media news. There's going to be a live action Rugrats movie. It's in development where everything will be live action and the babies will be CGI. No, why? I did hear about a live action Rugrats and I kind of shook my head.
They're trying to live action everything.
Yes. Yes, they are.
They even did that with The Simpsons. They had one episode of The Simpsons where Homer went through like a portal of some sort and ended up in the real world. And as a special treat, did a little bit of chatting with some friends, and we found somebody who's interested in coming on and just chatting with us tonight.
All
We want to
right.
welcome our good friend, talented artist, comic creator, and RPG creator. Please welcome Jay Morris to the show.
Hi guys.
Hello.
How are we doing?
Good.
Awesome.
How are you?
Good.
What's been going on?
Um just gearing up for the holiday season.
So, given that I've seen a bunch of your posts on Facebook about events you're doing with Faye,
Yes.
are you going to be at PAX Unplugged in December?
I am not. I did just speak to them and they have I learned that they have probably the longest wait list out of any convention to get in PAX Unplugged. And he told me the best way to get there is to do PAX East. So I'm shifting my gears. I'm targeting PAX East, which is in the spring.
It is in
And
May. It is in May next year.
yeah. And so my goal is to get in there, and then I'll be in with the PAX people, and then I should be able to push my way into PAX Unplugged.
Yep.
That's the plan anyway. That was the plan starting yesterday. So
No, PAX Unplugged is basically what it's similar in vein to like Gen Con, just organized a little differently.
yeah, they're those are the two big wigs of the tabletop role play conventions.
At least in this country.
Yes.
And how has Faye been going? I know we had a gameplay a while ago on the show here, which
Yeah,
was
we
a
did.
lot of fun. And I've seen that you've been going around to many conventions and promoting it. Is it still going strong like I've been seeing, or?
Yeah. So I'm kind of like the last 2 months I haven't really done a bunch of. I had a whole bunch of conventions like going through August, and then like it just kind of stopped for a little bit. But suddenly over the last couple of weeks, I've been getting a lot of information from people. There are campaign groups that play it in different hobby places. They've had to order more rule books, which is always great. Uh, it's nice to know that it's growing without me personally planting the seed. You know,
Yeah.
it's spreading in some places on its own, which is awesome. But that's kind of what's been going on lately while I'm gearing up for my next set of adventures. Every year I need to have new ones because I go to conventions and people play all the new ones I have and they're looking for the next set. So I've been furiously working on new adventures, and
I will need to get those because now I've got groups to run games with.
Woo! Yeah, I have
And
right now I have eight one-shot adventures, and I'm trying to make 4 each year. So
would
the
so potentially question: would you, because I'm part of a couple of different Discord servers that stream actual play campaigns.
Yep.
Would you be opposed to me running some of those one shots like live on stream?
Not at all. The more people, the Faye is a community, and I want everyone to be part of it. I had somebody that just reached out to me. They want to go to conventions and just game master Faye games, and I'm like, sure. I mean, I'm like, I'll send you some extra digital files of adventures to use. I'm actually looking into. I'm going to look at some local t-shirt shops. I'd like to make official Faye Game Master shirts for everyone that runs game. You know, I'd like to do like a little incentive thing with it. But I'm loving that it looks like I don't have to personally push the game into people's hands. Like it's happening on its own, and then a lot of that has to do with other people starting to run games. I'd also love to like jump in and play with someone else running a game just to see how it goes from the other side, you know.
Then at some point, I will throw money and get some digital materials from you.
Yeah,
just start running, and then
all the one shots are available on Drive-Thru RPG, and the digital versions obviously are cheaper because I don't have to pay for production.
Is
but you can get them there, print them up, pass them out, do whatever you want with them.
At this point, because most of my groups are 100% online, probably just get PDFs and then throw the rule book into throw that into a server.
Yep. So have you ever dealt with my one shots before?
Just the adventure we played.
Okay, so they all have the same setup where you get it's set up so you can give each of the players a character sheet, and then the bio sheet that also has all the abilities and how they work on it. So it makes it a lot easier, especially when you have a table of people that aren't familiar with the game.
And from what I experienced when I had played it, Faye is a game that is it's good for beginners because it was easy to follow along with. I got really lucky on a lot of my rolls.
Yup. We should not have gotten away with what we did.
Yeah. I made some stupid choices and then D20'd it,
Oh yeah.
Yep. We played a game yesterday. I was working on a Christmas special with a podcast, so we actually did a Christmas adventure yesterday. It's going to be released on Christmas Eve. But one of the characters, they were dealing with something terrible, and they should have been running for their lives. But one character kept getting ultra crits over and over again, and basically he increased all his stats. He had no stat under 10 during the fight, so he just stopped, turned, and it was like a kaiju battle between him and the terrible creature. Like, meanwhile, everyone else is like running for the hills, and he's just like, I can do it.
That's one thing that is really cool about Faye too. I think you just have to get people to see it, and they will enjoy it. And like you said, you're at the point now where people are growing it without you having to be there to water it. You planted the seeds, you started it, and people are just like, this is fantastic. I've got to share this with more people.
It reminds me there's an achievement from a video game called And They'll Tell Two Friends. If you played with one of the developers, you got the achievement. And then if you had the achievement, anybody you played with then got the achievement, and so on and so forth.
Yep. It's that kind of a thing.
And that was silly fun.
Yep. It's I think last time I was on here, I probably talked about like just the fact that people want to live in this world I created it's awesome. And then so other people want to run the world, which then they bring other people into the world I created, and grows from there, and it's doing that right now, which is so it's like second and third generations of the game are happening now, which is
Oh yeah.
great.
And Nunya in the chat says it's all fun and games until you roll a 20 charisma with a cacao demon, and now it's fallen in love with you.
Yep. Sometimes you have all of these great ideas of what you want to do, and sometimes the dice just hate you.
Yep.
And other times you have no idea what you're doing, but the dice say, nope, you're doing this.
And sometimes rolling poorly can be the most fun thing you're doing.
Oh yeah.
Which I'm sure you have experienced both.
Oh yes. Yeah. I think rolling poorly tends to get more laughs at the table than
Yep.
rolling well. You can get more cheers when you're rolling well, but
It also depends on the vibe of the table and the vibe of the
it
game.
does. With a one shot, you're invested in the character enough for the one shot.
You want everybody to have a good time.
right. It's a different kind of mentality than like a campaign where, well, if I mess up this character, I've been on this character for 6 months now, 3 years now.
Or you're
It's
playing
gonna
with
kinda
people
hurt.
you've known for 20 years and you forget one minor detail, and then the GM goes, make an intelligence check to see if we remember this thing.
Oh
And
yeah.
you roll a 1. It's like, okay, I know I screwed up. I'm going to run with it now, and we're going to go from there.
Yep. Good luck.
It led to one of the funniest moments in the entire campaign that then it came up at the very end because we were laughing about all the things. And
It's those are the moments. That's what it's all about.
And you've been doing a lot of different conventions. Sadly, I've only, my convention schedule dropped to next to nothing. I was lucky to make 2 this year, because of the new job and everything. But I've been seeing posts where you've been going to a lot of conventions. What has that been like to be able to get to, not just conventions that people have seen you at on a regular basis, but I've seen some new ones that you've posted.
Yeah. So one thing, this is my second year with the game, and I've realized that a lot of the smaller conventions that I'm repeating my visits to, the people who are more receptive to new games and indie games and that kind of stuff at those conventions bought it last year. So this year, it's like, oh, I already have it, and if they're playing, they'll grab some of the new stuff. But it's so I've realized like new markets is what I'm really looking for. Because like I've planted seeds here, like you talked about before, and now I want to go to other circles and plant more seeds. I'm actually putting together. I'm going to do a little bit of a hobby shop tour of New England kind of thing. I got a couple of friends there. We're gonna like chart out a stop meet and greet kind of a thing around New England and visit a lot of hobby shops, gaming stores, comic shops,
Maybe come to
libraries.
Pennsylvania. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, maybe not this first round, but
let me know where some like the stores, because depending on where and when, I can probably make an appearance.
woo.
And you might even be able to recommend some places.
Yeah, that'd be good. I haven't.
I've got a
delved
couple off
into
the
it.
top. Well, I've got one off the top of my head where I actually do know the owners. The store's up in Manchester, New Hampshire.
Yeah, after I'll probably post something probably this week. Just looking for people to recommend, and tag the stores and when they recommend, so I can start talking to the different people. I mean, I'd like to introduce them to the game. It's getting colder out, so now everyone's getting back indoors again.
Yep.
So I'm glad that you're able to come on. 'Cause it's been a while. It's been a while since we've actually chatted.
It has been, yeah. I didn't see you at. You occasionally make it over to one of the shows I do twice a year,
Yeah,
and it's a little further away for you now. So
yeah. Saratoga is a bit farther than it used to be. I think that's like 5 hours now.
And
5.
since we're in Halloween season, John Knight wants to know, Jay, what's your favorite Halloween movie?
oh, my favorite Halloween movie. I live Halloween all year round. So let's see, my favorite Halloween, specifically Halloween movie. I mean, I love the whole monster genre. It's I mean, I might have to just go to something kind of cliche. I'm trying to think of like things I've watched the most over and over and over again. And I don't know if you call it a Halloween movie, but I would have to say something probably like Ghostbusters. I know it's not specifically a Halloween movie. I was going to say Gremlins, but no, that's a Christmas movie.
And see, my thought would be Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, Nightmare Before Christmas is also great.
That was a good one too.
I feel like the world got oversaturated with it. It's just it's everywhere all the time.
Nowadays, yes.
Ross says his is Ernest Scared Stupid.
That's a classic too.
Halloween.
Any movie that you could even say is Halloween-esque tends to be something I love. It's just the way it works.
Beetlejuice would be another good one.
You could probably give me the entire list of Tim Burton movies before he just got too consumed with CGI, and I would probably put them all on that list. Yeah,
says Ghostbusters is 40 years old.
Good. No.
Is it really?
I thought I was older when Ghostbusters came out.
1984.
Shit.
So I was 6 when it came out. I saw it at 6 years old. Okay.
I turned 3 at the end of that year, so you know.
Congratulations! It was one of the first movies I remember seeing in the theater.
I think I saw that one in the theater too.
Secret of Nim was another one I remember seeing in the theater.
I loved the song. Ray Parker's Jr. Fun fact that his song Ghostbusters was not originally going to be part of the movie. I guess what they had planned, something happened and they backed out of using the other song and used his instead, and the rest is history.
Worked out for him.
Iconic, because that song is iconic.
Yep.
Every now and then when I'm bored, you get those Facebook little facts about behind the movies. I've read stuff about, like, even though I never saw Star Wars, I read stuff about Star Wars. I read stuff about Wizard of Oz and things like that. So just picking up stupid knowledge, which is things I do from time to time.
Yep.
Yeah, Timmy, I'm responding to Ross Luck was just saying that Timmy's sick face in the movie is the only thing that makes him cry. And I have to agree, that is with that little song playing, the one, Ross, the one that they play when she's feeding him the soup with the medicine in it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nanya Business says Secret of Nim is really old school, had really great animation for the time.
It has really good animation for nowadays too.
That's one of those I don't remember if I've seen or not. If I did, I was really, really young.
Same.
You need to see it. It is really a hand-drawn animation masterpiece.
They don't make stuff like that like they used to. That's for sure.
No.
I mean, some of the classic, like if you're lucky enough to get to some conventions, you can find old anime cells from shows back in the day. But you're not going to find stuff like that for like My Hero Academia. You'll never find an anime cell for like you would in Inuyasha or maybe even Trigun. Some of
Yep.
the classics,
Cowboy Bebop.
Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, I've actually perused for animation cells from Secret of Nim, and there are some floating around out there for sale. I'm just not quite ready to spend the money they're asking for them.
This
I
does.
can imagine.
I
I
can
I
imagine
bought
as
an
well.
anime cell once many years ago from Inuyasha. I found it on eBay, and it was an actual anime cell of Sango, who was my favorite character. I still have that somewhere in storage and safekeeping in an envelope. Um, but I think even back then, because it was shortly after Inuyasha had come out and was on Adult Swim, that I found it, and even then it was like $65. Nowadays you'd probably be looking at triple digits for some of these cells.
Yeah,
If
you would.
not for,
Yeah, depending on what it is, if it's like
depending
a key
on
moment or something.
depending on the show.
What else has been going on, Jay? I said it's been a while. Outside of the world of Faye, how's the art been going, and any projects that you can talk about?
Good. So I recently worked on for Hasbro. I worked on some Transformers work, which was good. They it was one of those things where a bunch of us sent things in and they had to get accepted, and hooray, every single piece I sent in got accepted. So
Yay.
Awesome.
that was nice. And then I just recently did some work. I was able to post it. I did some work for Warhammer 40K.
Oh, that's
For
cool.
Very cool.
the narrative, I forget what it's actually, campaign. They had me for they had a convention called Nova Open, which is one of the largest 40K tournaments in the world. It's down in DC, but I was down there, and they had me do an illustration for the winners, the winning protagonist and winning antagonist. So I drew their captains of their teams fighting each other as a victory illustration for the year, and now they're commissioning me to do all the past winners. So
Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations.
That is awesome.
I don't know much about Warhammer, but I know that the fandom is huge and the people
it
who
is.
are
I didn't know
involved in
much
it.
about it either. After I did that illustration, I officially have been listening to lore podcasts and stuff. So when I'm driving, I'm like learning that way. I'll know more for the other illustrations. I'll know more of the backstory of what they are. I'll have better ideas of what they should be doing in the illustration and stuff. It is a vast, lore heavy universe. I mean, it's been around for what, longer than Ghostbusters, and there's been mountains of novels and codexes and
Yep.
you know and
I remember.
The Alamo?
Yes, but no, not quite 20 years ago when Games Workshop, the physical brick and mortar store, still existed. I remember going in there not knowing what it was, and it was all 40K. And then my friends got obsessed, and that was then. And the game has evolved many times over since then.
Yep, yeah. Like I said, I didn't know if I knew a little bit. I dabbled in a little bit of it in college, but none of us could afford it because it is not a cheap hobby to build an army
it
of
is
that.
not.
I've seen YouTubers who dedicate their streams to just painting the figures.
Yep.
And they
a
have a
lot of these
huge
conventions-
viewership while they're just sitting there painting, and it's like I compare it to model railroading in a sense of the
It is as
detail that they
elaborate.
go
Yeah.
into it. It's
Yeah.
it's amazing. And John
Yeah.
Knight in the chat says, "Bay J, if you enjoy Halloween, you should check out Ghost Series dub." the anime?
Ghost Stories.
Ghost Stories. I'm sorry, I said series. Ghost Stories.
I'll have to check it out. I have not dabbled in much anime. You had recommended a couple to me, Doug, and I did watch some of them. And lately, I've been watching Delicious in Dungeon.
Yes.
Um,
That's one of the few I will recommend to literally everybody because it is that good.
I
Is-
don't have Netflix, so I can't watch it. Ross in the chat says, since you like games, English voice actors have created one that is coming out at the end of the month where you get to date objects in a house called Date Everything. I've heard about that. It's
there
an
are
actual.
tons of these kind of games out there. I didn't realize when I created my game that there were so many others out there too. So it's awesome. I mean, I have a lot of fun trying different games and it's just like trying to find your own niche. You know what I mean? Trying to be unique. I mean, it's the same thing with the animes. Like how do you create an anime that still feels like an anime but it's unique? You know, how do you
I think they're
create
trying
a
to figure
comic?
out how to do that nowadays because everything feels, cookie cutter. And
Yep.
Right, but then every once in a while something suddenly stands out, and it's like, oh, and then everyone else tries to emulate that one. You know, so it's that way with everything these days. Now that you have the digital age and you can share things with the masses without having to have a publisher or anything like that. There's a lot of stuff out there.
now, one thing that I'm curious about, I'm sure some of our fans are curious about. We've talked a lot about Faye and about your comic series and the game and everything, but you were talking about trying to come up with some new, one-offs to play. Where do you get your inspiration for coming up with these stories and the characters and such?
So some of them it's more of I come up with some characters that I'll just be, going through the book and I'm like, huh, nobody's done this with a character yet. And so I could start with that. So sometimes I'm inspired by like an idea for a character, and now I need to create a story around that character. And then other ones, it's like a setting. Like I'm working on one right now. Um, uh, right now it's called Spectacular. It's just what I'm calling it at the moment, and it is a freak show circus. And you get to play the ringmaster, the one who runs the circus,
So
and a
it's like this
couple of
show. So it's like this show.
just like this show.
A freak show, yeah.
So, and the premise is that you hate the other Fae out there, so you actually capture them and use them as, you know. So when people come into the show to see the monsters, you're showing them the monsters you've captured. Meanwhile, you're one of the monsters yourself. That kind of thing. And of course, things fall apart, and that's where the fun starts to happen. But
That's pretty cool.
yeah, but that with that one there, it was more of like, I think I was actually listening in the background to a Dungeons and Dragons um podcast game, and they were at a carnival at one point, and I'm like, yeah, carnival sounds good. Like, let's just do like a creepy like nighttime carnival.
Yep.
And since Angela and I and Darren last week were talking about different anime tropes, is there going to be a beach episode?
No.
There definitely should be. I'm going to be looking at a couple of anime artists, and we may be doing a Fainame, which would be just a Fae adaptation of the rule book. So you could it'd be the same rule book. You could play it. It's just it would have more of an anime flair to it. The terminology would be a little different. You'd probably have some other kinds of races in there and stuff like that. Some slightly varying effects that would be more anime-esque. But yeah, we were looking at possibly doing like so it would still fit in that world, but it would. It would be more
That's really cool, and
anime flavored.
I kind of said that jokingly, not knowing you had something in the works that was anime-esque.
Yeah, yeah.
I am nope. I yeah,
You're
I need
speechless.
to no, I need to grab the rule I need to grab a copy of the rule book, largely because I remember wanting to go through and build my own character.
So
And one of the Discord servers, one of the role-playing Discord servers I'm in, everybody's been role-playing for a long time. So I'd probably so if I would so while I could run the one shots, I'd want the players would likely want to build their own characters.
right. So the one shots are like they give you the flavor. This is how the game works.
Exactly.
And a lot of times like that's what they've started with. Somebody will play the one shot and then suddenly it's like, oh, that's it. We're making characters. Now we know how the game works. Now we know what we want to do with it. Now you can flip through the book and you can actually picture how these things work and build a character with knowledge.
Which
So
I'm
And
sure
see
that I know, Angela, you could have some
see, now I'm
some good
just
runs. Now
uh,
your mind's
and
going on how can I do this?
I'm going in a million different directions, and I suppose I will ask, have you read any of the Harry Dresden books?
I get asked that at every convention. I I have not read them at all, but I've had so many people talk about them. I feel like I have probably semi read the series.
I
I've
It's
been
a
told over and
series
over again I need to read it, but I also
uh,
don't want it to influence my game. I don't want my game to
I
start.
it's a fun I will say it's a fun series, but where I kind of went with it was one aspect is is the main character finds the fake all around Chicago, and
Yep.
that's just at any given point that's a side plot that takes priority. But I kind of want to just do that I want to do that, but set it in Boston because that's home and that's what I'm familiar with.
Yep. A lot of people play Fae and they use the setting they're familiar with. Like I I don't have time at the moment, but I actually would love to create specific town books. I would love to go to a convention in Boston with a Fae of Boston book where it has a map of Boston and where different things actually are and like they're under their secret trading and all that kind of stuff. And I'd love to do one for like each major city. And when I go to that city, be like, oh, here's Fae New York, Here's
Faye Philadelphia for
yeah,
when
yeah,
you get to PAX Unplugged.
exactly.
Faye Philly, that actually have a good ring to it.
Faye, Pennsylvania.
Faye, yeah.
Faye.
And
Nope.
in the chat, we have a question from Ross. As question for everyone for the month of Halloween. To clarify, aside from movies, but if you have one, who is your favorite monster character? For example, vampire, werewolf, zombies, etc.
Again, I love so many. I love supernatural stuff. Obviously.
Same here. I mean, I was a ghost hunter for many years. I don't know if I would go ghosts. I would say probably from that lore, and some of this is just based off of anime characters and things of that nature. I would probably lean towards vampires because I like the lore of the vampire. I like, and it's not for Angela's shaking her head, so I'm guessing she's thinking that my mind's in the gutter for some of the
No,
animes I've
no,
seen. But
I'm 100% shaking my head because we're at a point where vampires are just so overdone,
That's why I
and
wouldn't go.
Twilight was that bad.
well, Twilight was
So,
that bad, but like I said, I went anime references, but also I was always intrigued by vampires and vampire lore and stuff like that. Discounting media of Twilight and stuff of that nature as a kid, I
See,
was drawn towards vampires.
my
Uh,
for me,
also, the Jersey Devil I had interest in that as well.
For me, a really bad experience with Vampire the Masquerade killed any of vampires for me.
I understand.
And Twilight
Tw-
solidified that. A friend of mine handed me a copy of the book. I literally got 20 pages in. The grammar editing was so bad, I threw it across the room, and if it had been my copy, I'd have burned it.
So yesterday's game, one person actually asked me if they could make a Twilight vampire, and I said, "You can't be specifically a Twilight vampire in my game, but you can definitely create a. You can have the ability to sparkle and choose to cast it on yourself whenever you're in sunlight. Uh, you can make it work.
For fear of copyright
That's right.
nonsense.
So to answer the question on my side, I would say, I feel like werewolves have been kind of given an injustice. Like I feel like in the movie world, there are a lot of bad werewolf setups.
Michael J. Fox.
Well, Twilight, for example.
I've never
Yeah.
seen Twilight, so I was saved. I heard
don't know.
enough bad
I
things
feel like
about that.
I don't know. I feel I've actually, before I started getting involved in the game thing, I was working on a play script for a werewolf murder mystery show. And I feel like werewolves are just kind of they're in second place as far as familiarity goes, but I feel like they're way down, like have really not been explored in a movie sense to the extent that they should be. I think there are so
I
many
will
ideas that haven't been touched on in movies and stuff.
I will 100% agree with that.
Another monster type that you don't really see much in movies and things, the incubus / succubus.
Unless you're an anime, then there's a whole bunch of that.
There's
And
some, not as much as you think, but there is some. Obviously,
that
like
you get
Rosario
into
Vampire comes to mind, but I'm thinking more of movies. You see Dracula's, and like you said, you see some werewolf movies stuff, but you don't see things.
the succubus stuff comes more in line in the very niche fetish communities.
And then you're also starting to talk about things that are more supposed to be more directly tied into religion, when a lot of the other things aren't so much.
Man, I guess in a way with that.
I mean, you don't have to. You could definitely just make them. They're monsters.
Yeah,
And
it's
yes,
like
I
it's
have.
like the Leprechaun.
John was asking if I've watched the Harry Potter movies. I have watched the Harry Potter movies. I have gotten sick riding on the Universal Studios Harry Potter rides, except Hagrid's coaster, but the simulation ones that spin you around with 3D screens. Yeah, I've experienced a lot of Harry Potter.
What was your reaction when you found out the headmaster recently passed?
I mean, I'm not like a Harry Potter fiend,
but her career has been.
Yeah, there's been a lot of
Maggie Smith has done so much though.
Yes.
Harry Potter,
Call the Midwife, all this stuff. Yeah, I've seen her in a lot of different things. Even recently, like she's been very active as an actress recently, and then suddenly it ends.
And I think like for us, we're seeing a lot of celebrities that we grew up watching.
and I
have a feeling it's going to keep on.
We're going to keep on seeing names going, oh my God, I remember them.
Well, they're also getting.
They're getting older in age as we're getting older.
Yep.
I mean, James Earl Jones.
Yep. Frank from American Pickers.
Yeah, I saw that one too. To be honest, I was worried about Gary Summers because I'd seen that he had some health issues last year.
I mean, it's just that's what's happening. All the people we're familiar with are all getting older, and it's just
Yeah,
plus now with social media, like the world of social media, whenever
everybody's
anyone
connected
dies,
to everybody. It
it gets
blows
flooded
up.
with it. Even if they didn't, and then people just thought they did.
Yeah, I do
Yep,
want to
because nobody facts check because people don't bother to fact check.
Yeah, we're
like
even going to
like
fact check these days
Like
anyway.
William Shatner dying, even though he didn't.
That's right. He's died a couple
Uh,
times.
Betty
Yeah.
White is another one.
Yes. Yep.
I do want to take a moment to give a shout out to all the men and women who are down in the hurricane destroyed areas, North Carolina, Georgia. Having been down in North Carolina for the past week, hearing a lot of stories. Thankfully, in Darren's area, wasn't really affected by the storm like Western North Carolina was, but having lived through hurricanes like we have, up in Massachusetts and stuff like that, I've seen what those storms can do. So, a lot of thoughts and prayers go out to the victims, and hopefully they can start rebuilding their lives. I do know another storm is heading for Florida.
Yep, I was
So,
just gonna say, I believe it's due to touch down in Florida middle of the week.
Gulf side or ocean
it's
side?
going to go Gulf side and straight through the middle of Florida, from what I'm hearing.
I just saw a friend post about that who recently moved down there.
So definitely, thoughts and prayers, and hope that everybody can be safe. Property and things of that nature can be replaced. Life cannot. So please be safe. Please be smart when it comes to these. Having seen, like I said, being down there, hearing the story, seeing news posts, hearing about it on the radio for the past week, it really, even though I'm not from there, having lived through many hurricanes, I can sympathize with what's going on. So, and we've all dealt with hurricane. Like I can remember far back as Hurricane Gloria in like '84, I think it was.
You
Hurricane
remember
Bob
Bob?
in '90.
Yeah.
Of course, we were in the process of moving to Wareham when Hurricane Bob hit.
Oh, I
Hurricane
live in
Bob hit.
Wareham now.
You're in Wareham now?
Yep, this is Wareham. I'm in Wareham.
Oh my God! Last I knew, you were in Fall River.
Yep.
It has been a while because we moved to Swift Beach in Wareham 1 week to the day after Hurricane Bob destroyed.
Uh-oh. I'm at Swift Beach.
I'll have to find out exactly where, because
Yeah,
my best friend
maybe
still
not for the
lives there.
podcast, but
Yeah, we're not gonna give addresses or anything like that, but I will find out where you're at. Be like, next time I go out there, we're gonna stop by and say hi to Denise and Jay. We'll just surprise visit them.
Ah!
I didn't even know that you had moved.
Yeah, we moved in June, so right before I had a whole bunch of conventions, so it was perfect. I was unpacking one day and then driving off to a convention the next day, and then come back, unpack a couple more boxes, and then drive off to another show.
I can only
Chaos.
imagine the chaos that was. Oh my God.
Chaos at its finest.
Sounds about as much fun as trying to pack your apartment while looking for an apartment in the new place that you're going to live, while also figuring out how to fly a voice actor in for a convention. And
Yeah, no problem.
did all that last year.
Yep, I kind of remember all of it.
Yep.
And then once you find a place, finish packing, and move down, you leave the unpacking and setting up the new apartment to your wife, because you're, in Georgia training for 3 weeks.
Easy peasy.
So I had the easy part. I just had to go to Georgia and learn how to work for the railroad, while I came back to a fully decorated house.
Woo!
I don't think you were that lucky to come back from conventions and find your house, everything's in order.
No, I mean, I had some of these shows I needed my wife at with me, so even though she would rather stay home and get the house settled. Nope, she had to come with me. So
Oh yeah.
our house was. It took a little while. Usually like we go like a hurricane. If we move, we unpack like we're done in like a couple days. And even today, we spent some time in the basement going through a bunch of stuff that just got dumped down there when we moved here. So,
Oh, that's pretty cool about everything that's been going on. Sounds like you've been extremely, extremely busy, which I love seeing the fact that things are still going so good for you. We've known each other for a long time, and I love seeing the success of people I know continue, expand, and always. I feel bad that we can't get together as often as we used to.
life happens, you know.
Oh yeah.
It is what it is.
But at some point, like if you can make it out to PAX Unplugged next year, you get to PAX East, are able to get to PAX Unplugged. Philadelphia is not far from me.
Okay.
So I would definitely try to get out there if you guys are even able to come out. I know scheduling can be tight for convention weekends, but if you had time, get together for dinner, think something of that nature. I know Angela frequents the PAX East and PAX Unplugged as well.
Yep.
Could have a group outing.
I
Okay.
don't. There's a lot there. I did some deep diving. There's actually a lot more smaller gaming conventions up here than I thought.
There are a lot. Off the air, we can go through the list together if you want. I have a bunch that I'm a regular at already, and more that keep popping up.
Yep, because I've just been super busy, and with with husband and I traveling this year, conventions kind of outside of PAX East and PAX Unplugged largely took a backseat.
I understand. My last 2 conventions I had to cancel because I had too many other things happening in my life. In fact, I just canceled one that's next weekend too. It's just too many family things going on, and it is what it is. Families first. Got to take care of stuff there first. Then
Oh yeah.
then we'll catch up with conventions.
Mm-hmm.
And Ross answered his own question about favorite monster characters. He said it would have to be shape-shifting monsters like ghouls or banshee.
That's fair enough. Yeah. Oddly enough, they're both in the Fey rulebook. You can
Spoilers.
play a banshee.
That reminds me of a ghost hunting show. I think it was called Most Haunted. I nicknamed it the Screaming Banshee Show. It was a bunch of European ghost hunters that would go to different places, and anytime anything would happen, they'd all just start screaming and running.
Yeah, when the television shows when they're trying to get ratings, so they're trying to.
Yeah. I used to call it the Screaming Banshee Show. I would watch it purely for entertainment, not for anything that had to do with actual evidence or anything like that.
Oh my god!
Because if anything was actually happening, they're just drowning it out with their screaming and running. Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah.
Now there's lots of ghost hunting shows out there. A lot of them may have captured real evidence, but anytime I see something that has a script writer, I immediately discard it to watching it purely for either, like with ghost hunters, the technology that they would come out with. I would watch it to see the new technology, how they use it, and do I feel like it's something that any group I was a part of could benefit from. But if I saw a scriptwriter on there, I would be like, okay, any evidence that they have, I don't know if I can count it all as 100% evidence, or was it manufactured because they have a script? And that's just coming from somebody with experience as a paranormal investigator. Not saying that everything they did was faked. Talking with many of the people
undermine their credibility with it. That's the problem. Yeah.
Yeah. When you leave that little shadow of doubt by seeing script writer on anything that's supposed to be 100% legit,
right?
That leaves your audience open to question if they're thinking along those lines. So it's kind of one of those you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. And some of the script might be just about what they're saying during interviews or things like that after
Or like
after editing.
I feel like that's probably the majority of it is like the intros or like the
Yeah, that's probably where most of it is. But like you said,
or like
anytime that you can leave a little bit of doubt, people are going to run with it.
or like the voiceover aspects as somebody's narrating what's going on.
Yeah.
But
it's probably more for that kind of thing typically.
Well, I was
I understand.
sad because I had a chance to meet Brian Harnois, who was part of Ghost Hunters back when seasons 1 and seasons 2 came out. He was going to schedule to be a guest on our show, but then had to cancel last minute due to an emergency, and we haven't been able to get him back on since. But it would be neat to be able to talk to them and get more ideas about what it's like behind the scenes of a production like that, because obviously coming at it from I've been a part of paranormal teams. I know what experiences are like from hunts that I've been on, so curious as to what it's like when you have a production with you, as opposed to just like Ghost Adventurers is just 3 idiots that go around doing stuff, but they have a script writer, which I think may come in after the fact. But just some of the stuff they do, I don't agree with.
It's a different mentality when you're trying to get ratings versus you're just hunting for ghosts.
Yeah. And anytime you come to TV shows nowadays, it's trying to get ratings, because without the ratings, you don't have a show.
Exactly. It's just the way it is.
And then you come to the world of podcasts, where you do it because you've got amazing people who come and hang out with you.
Just talking about you, Angela.
Nah.
I'm talking about the awesome people in our chat who tune in on a regular basis. People like you, Jay, that come and join us as guests multiple times.
Oh, you're lucky. I was doing absolutely nothing. So
I saw you were online. I'm like, I haven't talked to, like, this past week, I've reached out to many people I haven't talked to in a while, just to check in and be like, hey, what's going on? How have you been? Da, 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 da. And it was like, hey, we haven't had Jay on in a while. Let's see if he's up for coming. Because there are times when I've reached out and been like, hey, you want to join us for just some random BS? And you're like, I'd love to, but I'm busy. I've got stuff going on, which
it was
never
good timing. I can't stay much longer because I do have an early morning. So
it is. Well, it is. We actually only have about 15 minutes left. Where does the time go?
Woo! It flies. But before you go, we'll give you a chance to promote yourself, as you know, our shameless plugging section. Let people know where they can find you at events, where they can find more information about Faye, the comics, and the game.
Okay. So you can find me I should change my name on here so it actually has my last name. If you go on any social media and you type in J Moores, last name is spelled Moores, you'll find me on Facebook. You'll find me on Instagram. You'll find me on X. I just recently set up a Discord server for Faye. It is very inactive at the moment. I just had my initial, my friends joined it just to be supportive, but I haven't done a thing with it yet. I don't know how to do things with Discord. I'm working on that. But you can get my books through either reaching out to me on social media or email, or you can go to my website, which is www.edenparktales.com. That's the name of my publishing house. And you can order books through there, or you can email me through there. The store is pretty close to up to date. You can also get the game if you're interested on DriveThruRPG, which is the largest digital database of roleplay games out there. If you just go onto it, type in FAE, the game system will pop up. I don't even know if it pops up at the top because there's a lot of D&D things that have that word in them, but it does pop up on the list. and most of the one-shot adventures are there. The first expansion is there. Check it out. Also, I'm on YouTube. I'm trying to think what else. Conventions wise, I don't have a lot more this year. I'll be returning for the fall Saratoga show, Saratoga Comic-Con, which is, I believe, one of the last weekends of November. And then the first weekend of December, I have a Monster Expo in Massachusetts. And then that pretty much wraps up my year. Next year, I'll be at Captain Con, which will be my first show in February. It's a great show in Rhode Island. It's a community of gamers, and they're awesome people there. So I'm looking forward to that one. And then I'm going to start my Gambit all over again. Let's see if I can get the PAX East and go from there.
And Saratoga Comic-Con is November 23rd and 24th at the Saratoga Springs City Center in Saratoga Springs, New York. So if you're able to make it up there, go say hi to Jay. Say hi to everybody up there. Sam does put on a good convention. I've been to a couple of them. While you were talking, I was like, let me find the exact dates for you. A couple of guests that they have include Landon McDonald and Jason Douglas. They also have Harley Knox cosplay. So it looks like they have some really, really cool people that are going to be there. Of course, Jay's
if you're into voice actors, they always seem to get a good collection of them. He hasn't announced all his guests yet for the show.
Yeah, that's all that was up on the site thus far. I do remember the last one I went to, I got to meet the voice actor of Eevee from Pokemon and get her autograph on a picture of Eevee for my daughter.
Perfect.
We have that tucked away somewhere for safekeeping until we can get it framed, and then we can put that up in her room at some point.
I have a side duck around here somewhere. I got that signed.
But it's always great chatting with you, Jay. I know you said you can't hang around too much longer, but thank you for coming on and chatting with us and letting us know what's new in your world.
Oh, thank you. And answer Ross's question, I have not seen the Deadpool and Wolverine movie yet. Gambit is the only character I've ever cosplayed at a convention. I actually still have my Gambit outfit downstairs. I was actually thinking of possibly dusting it off now that Gambit's popular again and wearing it for Halloween, but we'll see.
As far as other conversations that we're having, we could have that through like Facebook Messenger at a later date and things of that nature, even a group chat or something so everybody knows what's going on with different events and things like that. And once you have an idea of your schedule for game shops and hobby shops and stuff like that, let us know. We'll be happy to share that on our site as well.
Awesome. And Angela, feel free to reach out to me about the one shots if you want to run any of them, and any recommended stores.
Definitely want to. It's right now it's scheduling.
That is the beast we all have to deal with.
Well, because I'm getting ready to leave the country for 2 weeks, and then it's come back, play catch up, and then holidays.
I totally understand. In the same place without the traveling out of the country and then coming up. So,
but
have a good trip. I hope it's a good trip.
Oh, absolutely! It's our 2-week vacation in Japan.
Oh, okay, that should be fun. That's on my. That's I think my next out of country place I'd like to go check out. So
highly recommend. But I will definitely grab the books and go from there.
Okay.
And then get a group and potentially do something on one of the Twitch channels I'm a player on.
Sounds good. Just keep me informed. I will happily share it around, and maybe I'll come play.
Sounds good.
All right, I'm going to exit so you guys can do your wrap it up thing. Thank you very much for having me, guys.
Thank
Doug,
you.
as always.
Always. Glad you were able to join, and congrats with everything, and good luck in the future with all the Faye stuff and everything you got going on.
Thank you, and thank you everyone in the chat. It's great having an interactive chat. I love it. Take care, guys.
Definitely. Have a good
Take
night.
care.
Yeah, that was Jay Moyes, everybody. It was great to have him pop in and hang out with us for about an hour.
Yeah.
And lots of good stuff going on. I've been seeing that he's been keeping busy through a lot of his Facebook posts and stuff. So
Yep.
I thought it was fun to bring him on and just chat about, because we haven't talked with him in it's got to be
Months.
over a year. Time
Months
flies.
at
Yes.
least.
I don't know if has he been on the show since I moved to Pennsylvania? I don't remember.
I don't either.
Too much stuff that goes on.
Agreed.
I do know that I am talking to some other people about coming on as potential guests throughout the month of October.
Excellent.
So once we have things finalized, we'll announce who, what, where, when, and why. And I know Darren's going to be sad that he missed Jay coming on, but that's all right.
Oh God.
All right, Ross says, all right, to finish off the stream, just to jokingly annoy Angela, what is the greatest food dessert to eat for Halloween? I have no idea.
I don't either. I mean, I'm not really a big candy person.
So food dessert that would be good for Halloween. Like my mind is trying to think of something funny with pumpkin, but I can't.
See, when I was little, there was this it was more like a trifle. Like it was layers in a bowl and it had like gummy worms and crushed up probably Oreos to act as dirt.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. I forget the actual name for it.
But
There's an actual name, but
but
I know
you
what you're
know
talking about.
exactly what I'm talking about. And then like a cream layer and
Yeah. So Ross, what is
I
the
don't
answer?
know.
With Ross, it could be anything.
Agreed. I mean,
Bec-
you also got those I want to say they're Pillsbury, like the sugar cookies that you slice and bake that have like the different cutouts.
Apple pie.
See, I equate that more with Thanksgiving than Halloween.
I do too.
Though now that I say that, candy apples would be a Halloween thing.
Yeah, true. And a festival thing, and a lot of times you see festivals around fall. So fall, Halloween, yeah.
But
I can see all that.
pies I normally equate with Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Thanksgiving, Christmas is where I normally equate like pies with the holiday, because it's not a normal Thanksgiving without having an apple pie,
Apple, pumpkin, and God knows what else.
chocolate cream.
And Ross says cherry pie is Thanksgiving and banana pudding is Christmas.
I guess everybody does it differently. Because like chocolate cream pie, my family had that with like every holiday big gathering.
See, with my husband's family, there's usually at minimum 6 pies at both Thanksgiving and Christmas. Some are variable, but the staples are always a pumpkin, an apple. Sometimes there's a chocolate cream, sometimes there's a blueberry. Most of the time there's a custard pie. Banana cream is a sometimes.
What about a whoopie?
No,
No whoopie pies?
no whoopie pies.
That's more of a Pennsylvania thing.
I did make a lemon meringue pie one year for Thanksgiving. I also made a blueberry pie one year for Thanksgiving.
Bacon pie for
Pie.
Valentine's Day.
I made a pecan pie once and I hated it.
I'm not a nut person.
It-
I'm not big on any kind of nuts, peanuts, walnuts.
But what about peanut
Heck,
butter?
I like peanut butter, and I do like Snickers. Snickers is like the Snickers peanut butter. The only things that I'll eat that have nuts in it. I'm not allergic. I just not the biggest fan of nuts in general.
That's fair. For me, it's a mood thing.
Kind of like talking about candy. I like watermelons themselves, but I don't like watermelon flavored things like candies, drink mixes, stuff of that nature.
I don't like any of it. I don't like watermelon.
My wife doesn't like watermelon, but she likes watermelon flavored stuff.
I don't like
So she's
either.
the exact opposite.
And
I know something else you don't like.
isekai?
No, to be called ma'am.
That is also correct. That that catches me every time. And
You
I
weren't
know that's
expecting that, were you?
no, I was not. And
I
John
told
Knight
Darren I was
says
going to run with that.
3 more dub episodes left for My Hero for this season. And Ross agrees with me, watermelon has no flavor.
There is a sweetness to good watermelon. If you can find it, if you can find a good watermelon, there is a sweetness to it that I like. That's all I'm saying. There's more flavor in a watermelon than there is in regular water.
That's not setting a very high bar.
No, but I never said I was to begin with.
Oh, so fair.
But it's been a fun night. I can't believe it's almost 10 o'clock.
I know, right?
Hopefully, Darren has a good day at work tomorrow. I know he's going to have a day from hell. Dr. Pepper is better than water, Ross. I'll agree with you on that.
I don't know if I agree. But then again, I don't drink a lot of soda.
But we are almost out of time. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. It has been a fun, random, crazy show, as we normally have here.
Agreed.
Next week, we might not have a guest. You never know. Could have somebody surprise drop by like we did tonight. I've got to reach out to the people I've been talking to see if they are available. I know one of them said that they want to come on. They have to check their schedule. They do know that they're not available on the 20th. The other person I'm waiting to hear back from. They want to come on. They are a normal October guest for us, but not sure exactly what's going on with their schedule because I haven't talked to them or seen them in a bit. So
Because chaos.
Life, the universe, everything else.
And I had a friend that I was going to try and get to come on to promote their actual like horror stuff, which would have been around this time of year, but schedules being what they are, I don't know if that's going to happen.
That sound is a clock going off, which means it's 10 o'clock Eastern time. We want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Thank you to our sponsors once again, Home Circle Media and Triple S Lawn Care. Thank you to Jay Morris for coming by and chatting with us. Of course, thank you, Angela, for coming on and helping fill the 2 hours of craziness. Thank you to all of our awesome fans out there. John Knight, Ross, Luck, Nunya, Sharka. I would love seeing everybody coming in. Until next week, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Stay safe out there. Stay safe if you're in any of the areas that are going to be affected by the storms that are coming up through Florida. And to all of those victims who were affected by the most recent hurricane, Helena. Until next time, this has been Anime-Zing Radio right here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
Good night, everybody.